Okay, good morning. We are going to work on graphing parabolas today. This goes right along with the factoring stuff we've done. So we are going to have a Delta Math assignment, and I'm going to go through some of the questions that we're going to be looking at. So it says graph the equation x squared minus 8x plus 15 on the accompanying set of axes. So anytime we graph, when we're going to do it algebraically, we're going to make an XY chart. It says we want the roots and the vertex. So that means I want to know the roots would be where y equals 0, and it's going to want the y-intercept too. So we're going to put 0 in for x. So I want 0. And we're going to have 2 over here, as we knew from graphing, 2 zeros for the y. So let's check this out. So you're basically just going to need to follow the steps. So first thing I'm going to do is put 0 in for x. So 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 15. Well, 0 squared is 0. Minus 8 times 0. 8 times 0 is 0. So y equals 15. Then the roots. That means I want y to equal 0. And this should look familiar. Remember now we need to factor. So we're going to need to make a chart for factoring. There's not a lot of room here, so we're going to have to erase. But I want a times c. So I want the factors of a times c, which remember here, if we pull them out, a equals 1, b equals negative 8, and c equals 15. So a times c is 15, and I want them to add to negative 8. So that means my numbers are going to need to be negative because they add to a negative. So I start with my factors. We'll just start with negative 1, negative 15. That adds to negative 16. Negative 2 doesn't go in there. Negative 3 does. And negative 5. So that's negative 8. So this is the one we want because it adds to negative 8. So that means my factors are x minus 3, x minus 5. Now, to solve for the roots, I have to separate them. So this is the zero multiplication property. So 0 equals x minus 3. And I add 3 to both sides, so x equals 3. So that's one of them. And then I do x minus 5 equals 0. And add 5, so x equals 5. So I have my two roots. So let's put those up here. 3 and 5. Now we're going to have to erase some of this stuff. It also asks for the vertex. Oops, didn't mean to erase that. My goodness. So the vertex here, we have a formula to come up with the vertex. And that is, so the vertex equals negative b over 2a. So there I have my b and my a. So I'm just going to put negative of a negative 8 over 2 times a, which is 2. So negative times a negative 8, or negative of a negative 8 is a positive 8. So that's 8 over 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So now I'm looking for where x equals 4. So now I can just go back and plug that in. Quicker way. So we're going to go y equals 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 15. So that's 16 minus 32 plus 15. So 16 minus 32 plus 15 is y equals negative 1. So that's a point. Now it says I need 5 points. So I'm just going to go to the right one and to the left one. So we'll plug 2 and 6 in. 2 and 6. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with 2 and 6. So y equals 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 15. 2 squared is 4 minus 16 plus 15. So that is 3. 4, that's a negative 12 plus 15 is 3. So I go to 2 and I go up to 3. Now we're going to plug 6 in. So y equals 6 squared minus 8 times 6. Sorry about that. Plus 15. So y equals 36 minus 48 plus 15. And y equals 3. So now I have my 5 points. And this will draw your parabola. I'm going to show you how else we can do this. So we got x squared minus 8x plus 15. So I'm going to go to Desmos. And maybe. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 15. So we got those points the same we did as we just did. If I want the specific points, I can hit the table up there. Pretty cool, right? So Desmos actually does it for you. But we also need to know how to do it this way. So graph the equation. So we're going to do the same thing. So we need to find the roots. So we want to multiply. We have a equals 1, b equals negative 14, and c equals 48. So we're going to multiply a times c, which is 48, and add the negative 14. Once again, b is negative. So they need to be negative. So I go negative 1, negative 48. is negative 49. Negative 2, negative 24 is negative 26. Negative 3 and negative 16 is negative 19. And then negative 4 and negative 12 is negative 16. We're getting closer. No 5. How about negative 6? Negative 8 is negative 14. So this is it right here. So we have x minus 6, x minus 8. Set them both equal to 0. So x equals 6. And then x equals 8. So that is going to be our points right there. So that's going to be 6, 0, and 8, 0. To find the vertex, what we're looking for the vertex, we're going to go negative b over 2a. So that's a negative of a negative 14 over 2. So that equals 7. So we need to plug in 7. So we'll start up here. So I have 7 squared minus 14 times 7 plus 48 equals y. So 7 squared is 49 minus, don't know 14 times 7 off the top of my head. I should. It's 98 plus 48. So I just put that in my calculator. 49 minus 98 plus 48. And negative 1 equals y. So that's my vertex. So I'm just going to go to a point to the right and a point to the left. So I'm going to plug in 9 and 5. So let's do the big one first. 9 squared minus 14 times 9 plus 48. So we have 81 minus 126 plus 48. So I'm just going to put that in my calculator. 81 minus 126 plus 48. So 3 equals y. So I go to 9 and graph up to 3. And then I'm going to plug 5 in. So I have 5 squared minus 14 times 5 plus 48 equals y. So 25 minus 70 plus 48 equals y. And 3 equals y. So I go over here to the 5, graph of 3, and there's my parabola. Not too bad. Make sure you use Desmos if you need to. But this kind of goes back through the importance of why we've been working on factoring so much. Those are the roots. That's where they go through the x-axis. That's important. You should have 10 problems to do on this, so we're only doing one type of problem today, and it's going to be due tomorrow. So make sure you take notes on this. This is very, very important subject. Remember, next week technically is spring break, so there won't be any lessons. Well, we have Good Friday on Friday, and then spring break.